Healthy fear is just being cautious. There's lots of things to be cautious about in life, okay? When you're taught to fear things that are not real when you're growing up, and this goes back to that perfectionism, okay, is that if you're taught to fear making a mistake, if there was a lot of punishment and shame, if you had to lie all the time just so you didn't get like whoop ass opened up on you, verbal, emotional, physical, whatever, okay? You were punished and not disciplined, and there's a difference, okay? You can teach a kid discipline and responsibility without hitting them or shaming them or creating terror and fear. But if you grew up in a home where you can't negotiate, you can't get your needs met, you can't even express your feelings, you know, like you're wrong for doing that all the time, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't, it creates a double bind. And kids are taught that they are mistakes and they don't make mistakes. Okay, so, you know, parents that do this have these unrealistic expectations of their kids all the time and make them mistakes. And, you know, like I saw a mom screaming at her kid one day at the store, and she says, "I hate you when you do that, you little shit." Not like, I don't like the choices you're making. It's frustrated for me when I see you making choices that aren't healthy. I hate you when you do that, you little shit. That's a kid that was just taught to fear making a mistake. You know, if you get punished for like in my house, like if you brought home less than an A or a B on a test, you know, oh my God, the can of whoop ass that got opened up on you. You know, my dad grounded me one time for a year, because I didn't put the pickle jar, the lid on the pickle jar well enough when I put it back in the fridge, okay? Like, you can't go out of the house for a year.
Did he hold to it?
Uh-huh.
For a year?
For a year. No play, no whatever, no nothing. You get taught.
Wow. You know the bathroom caps that go on the bottom of the toilet that cover that screw?
Yeah.
Well, there was one missing off our toilet. My dad lined every kid up in the living room until somebody confessed to it.
Yeah.
And after that, eventually you guys get together and you go, okay, next time any stupid shit like that happens, it's your turn to take them.
That's right, yeah. So you get taught to lie, you get taught to be afraid of that, right? So what happens is, like, if any kind of fear, anything that where you just go, oh, you know, like, what happens is that you feel panic. And then you get perfectionistic, and that's where you go, I'm not gonna make a decision until I know exactly what you want me to say, do, or be. Okay, and we get really good at reading rooms and people, okay? And so we get really like, I'm not gonna move till I know it's safe, right? We start procrastinating, we can get paralyzed. The 4 P's of repressed fear are panic, perfectionism, procrastination, and paralysis on here. So when people come in my office and say, I'm just stuck here, Chris, and I go, let's go back to, is this a healthy fear? Is this a realistic fear to have? Are you really gonna die today if you make a mistake as an adult? You don't do this perfectly. Well, no. Oh, you know, like, I don't mind making a mistake today. I'll take ownership. I don't really care anymore, because I've learned that I'm not gonna die, right? Okay, not in early recovery, man, I lied to cover my butt on everything. And my sponsor said, why are you lying? You don't have to lie. No one's gonna beat you up today. And I go, you know, and it was like, he says that they care about you, you know, being held accountable is different than beating you up, right? There's a difference between the two. So it's, those are the 4 P's of that, okay?
Somebody developed PTSD as a result of it.
Uh-huh.
Wire that,
Yep.
as a result of that.
That's right. You know, the worst thing you can say to someone with PTSD or to a person that's been taught that they are a mistake is, can we talk? When you get home from work today, we need to talk. Like, don't tell me, yeah, I'm not going home, right? I'll find a way to stay out. Like, what's it about? Oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing big. We'll talk about it when you get home. Well, you just ruined my day. Like, I may as well not go to work. I may as well not do anything, because all I'm going to think about all day is that, right? That panic, okay?
I got PTSD. I'll go.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna tell you what I want to tell you, and that's that.
Yeah, well, you have a different set of defenses, okay? Some people don't have that getting big like you can, okay? But if that works for you, that's great, okay? That's right. So.
Well, see, I've gotten to the point where I'm definitely he's a I'm down here kind of thing. I know his emotions well enough to know that I don't say that to him if
Right.
I want to talk to him.
Right, right. Well, you know what?
Say those things.
But
you
to-
catch him on an off moment.
But you have to,
that
you have to,
is-
you can only talk about your natural emotions when you're calm. Okay? You can't process emotions with people when they're upset. Feelings trump logic. Feelings trump logic usually, okay? So cool, there's a lot of truth and a lot of cliches. Cooler heads prevail, okay? Because when everybody's upset, the first part of your brain that shuts down is that emotional reasoning, the frontal lobe, okay? So people with PTSD, addiction, they go there faster. Okay, so it's, let's look at the next one because it kind of explains that too. Healthy anger is this, just knowing and setting your boundaries and limits with other people. That's why you never have to fire anybody. All you have to know is what works for you in recovery. Okay, I couldn't be around people getting drunk off their asses. I mean, getting like totally, just, it didn't work for me. And I didn't mind if you had a drink or something like that. That didn't bother me so much. But man, that first year of recovery, I could not be around cocaine, pot, any kind of pill. I mean, oh my God, it would just throw me into this, whatever. Just the smell of it. Okay, I couldn't.
That is the way the person would repeat themselves over and over again if they get that stupid drunk.
Yeah, yeah.
You want it.
Yeah, I mean, if you, it's always funny, like to go back to, if you hang around people, like when you're as drunk as they are, it's a level playing field then, right? We're all on the same page, okay? We all solve the world's problems when we're all high, okay? Then we all wake up the next day and go, what did we talk about, right? Okay. So healthy anger is just knowing and setting your boundaries and limits. And parents teach you those things. Healthy parents teach you what healthy boundaries should be, is that you're only allowed to demand from relationship what you're willing and able to bring to relationship yourself. If you treat people with respect and kindness, they're supposed to treat you with respect and kindness too, and you learn that, hey, you're not supposed to treat me that way, okay? So, but if you're not brought up with that, if people step over boundaries, if people break agreements with you, that steps over boundaries too, okay? So parents that are addicted or abusive break because they're so wounded themselves and damaged. They cause that damage with their children because they can't keep their promises with their kids. That's one of the worst things that parents do if they're addicted, is that they break their promise with their kids, okay? So, that's those are healthy boundaries. Rage and resentment is repressed anger. My sponsor used to say, why don't you just set a boundary with people, Chris, to practice that assertive communication? And I said, I don't get angry. And he said, why not? And I said, I don't want to kill anybody. Okay, because I had so much pushed down all the time. He says, oh, you think anger is violence. That's your normal, Chris. You grew up that anger was always expressed as violence and rage. And I go, well, what's the difference? And he goes, you can set it differently. Okay, and I didn't know that, and I had I had this therapist once that said, God, Chris, I'm hearing your whole history of abuse and this, and so she said, we're going to do a rage dump. She was one of those really bad, ineffective therapists, and I said, what is a rage dump? And so she had all these family dolls on the wall. She had a daddy doll and a mommy doll and all these other kind of dolls, right? Okay, and so she took this daddy doll and she put it in the chair. She goes, you never got to express your anger as a kid and all this, so we're going to get it out now because it's all pushed down inside, right? And I'm going, okay, what do I have to do? And she says, I want you to take this stick, this batok stick, and I want you to wail on this doll and say, Dad, how did you do this to me? Like this. And I go, I don't want to be like my dad. I'm a pacifist. I've never been in a fight in my life. Even as traumatized as I was, I've never actually hit a person in my, I said, I don't really want to do that. And she said, and I was court ordered, right? So she crosses her arms and her legs and she goes, are we resisting therapy? Yeah, she goes, are you being resistant? Am I going to have to report this? I have to fill out your report for the month is coming up to your probation officer. And I went, oh, Okay, so I thought, well, I guess I'll have to do this, right? So I thought, give it a try, right? So I go over and she had this stick with a big pillow on the end of it, and I'm going, well, how long do I do? I thought, I don't even know how long I should do this, right? So I go, oh, Dad, I can't believe you. How dare y'all? And I'm beating this damn doll, right, with this stick and doing this whatever, right? So after like 10 minutes, I quit, right? And so I sit back down in the chair, and I know in her best, like, ill-advised, baby kind of therapist maybe way, she leaned forward and she goes, and now how do we feel? And I went, well, kind of sweaty and stupid, right? And she sits back and she goes, oh my God. She goes, I think you're sicker than I thought. She actually said that, right? And so she says, you know what, Chris, I think that, what I would like to recommend to the court is that we do some drug-induced regression hypnotherapy. Take you back under drug-induced hypnotherapy back to regression, so we can finally, because you have all of this who are resisting. So they call me resistant, right? I said, look, I'm oppositional by nature. I'm an addict. Addicts are oppositional by nature. Okay, tell me to do something, I want to do the exact opposite. So, and I said, oh my God. I said, you know what? I am firing you. I was so mad. And I said, you know what? I've been coming here for a year. Every time I leave, I feel worse. Okay, the money I've spent on you, I could have gone to Hawaii and had a vacation and felt better. Okay, then this bullshit. I'm done, right? And she goes, oh, and I got up and walked out, and she said, you're probably going to wind up dead, Chris, and killing somebody else, And I got locked up for about 2 more weeks because I was resistant to therapy. Went back to my probation office, and so healthy anger. When I'm being rageful, okay, and that's either directed inward or outward. Some people don't get big. The other type is being silent. And that's, couples don't come to see me until one person quits talking.